Today's video is sponsored by Kunai Threads. Kunai Threads has playmats, shirts, and even pickleball paddle sets to match with your favorite characters. If you click the link in the description and then use my exclusive code JohnnyTCG, you can get 5% off your entire order. Thank you, Kunai Threads, for sponsoring this video. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Johnny TCG video. I'm Johnny TCG. I'm happy to see you here today. And today we're starting our OP10 arc, and that is with Smoker, the new red-green leader from OP10. I think so far the expectation is that blue-black Usopp will be the best leader out of OP10, but I don't think red-green Smoker is that far behind him. He just won a championship series in Japan, and this deck is a ton of fun to play. I think a lot of people are going to have success with it, and I'm excited to bring you a day one deck list for it. Before we get into the deck list, here's the schedule for today. First, we're going to do a deck profile, looking at each card in the deck, talking about it, maybe other suggestions you could run in the deck. Then, of course, part number 2, we're doing a giveaway. We do a giveaway in just about every video, and we're going to be giving away a custom Smoker leader. You're going to want to check that out. And then, of course, after the giveaway, we've got games on the sim testing this list out. We've got some new leaders, we've got some old leaders. It'll be an interesting mix. Of course, the deck is still very new. OP10 isn't even out in the West yet. We've still got about a month, so I'm not going to be a master at it yet, but it'll still be a good time. You'll still learn a lot, and yeah, let's get right into the deck profile. Starting off with our leader, Smoker's a red-green dual-type leader with 4 life and then 5,000 power. He's got 2 abilities, and wow, are these abilities strong. First, during your opponent's turn, all of your characters with the Navy tag or the Punk Hazard tag get plus 1,000 power. That's huge. That is going to really help your characters on defense. Unfortunately, it's not really going to help with them getting removed via cost, but power, of course, that's going to be really beneficial. Then we've got his other ability, Activate Main. Once per turn, you get to restand 2 of your Don if you have a 7,000 power character or more on the board. This you can achieve as early as your 5 Don turn, and we'll talk about combos that you're able to make when that happens. Overall, this leader is really strong. There's a lot of combos that work really well. You're going to be able to cheat out bodies that other decks can't do just because you're able to restand on with your leader ability and then with some of your card abilities. I'm looking at U5 cost Smoker from OP10. You're going to want to see that card. It is so strong. We run a lot of counter events, we run a lot of blockers, and of course we run that 8 cost Eustace Captain Kid from OP01, so this does give Fortressy vibes at times, which is great. It's going to be really hard for your opponent to deal with that 8 cost Kid sometimes. And now let's get into the deck list. First up, we're running 2 of the 7 cost 7,000 power Ben Beckmans from OP09. Only 2 of them, it's not searchable. It is kind of just like a card. If we see it, great. If not, it's not the end of the world. It's not really a part of our game plan. But for 7 Don, being able to pop a 6,000 power character is really strong. There's a lot of cards in the meta that this is relevant for, and yeah, I'm never mad to see it, really. If we can see it on curve, it's amazing. A new OP10 card, 1 cost 2,000 power Virgo with 1,000 counter. This is just a top 5 searcher looking for a Punk Hazard type card. That is going to be some of our most important cards in the deck, like our 5 cost Smoker, our 3 cost Tashigi. We do have some other Punk Hazard cards in the deck, but those really aren't as important as that Smoker and Tashigi. Those are the ones we're going to be looking for most of the time. I think 4 of this Virgo searcher is very good in this deck. Another new card from OP10 is the 3 cost 3,000 power Sanji with 1,000 counter. Yes, the artwork is Nami, but this is technically a Sanji card. Read the manga and watch the anime and you'll understand why. This card's got a really cool ability. During your turn, it gets plus 3,000 power, making it a 3 cost 6,000 power swing. And then, of course, on your turn, it's going to have 4,000 power because it does get that plus 1,000 boost from our leader ability. Then it has an on KO ability of allowing you to draw a card when it's KO'd. I think that's just really strong. If you can get this card out on your second turn, I think that's a great move. Next, we've got Tony Chopper looking like Sanji. 4 cost, 4,000 power, and 2k counter. We love that it has 2k counter. It's a blocker, which is great. And then it has the ability of, during your opponent's turn, it gets a plus 2,000 power. Then combined with your leader ability, it's plus 3,000 power. So it's a 4 cost 7,000 power blocker that you can play on turn 2. If you're on the even curve, of course, this is so strong. It can get bounced relatively easy in the current meta. I'm looking at you, Blue-Black Usopp. I'm looking at you, Trafalgar Law and Dofi. But it's still really strong depending on the matchup. And I think this is a great card to have at the end of the day. So 4 makes total sense for me. We're running 3 of the 8 cost 8,000 power Eustace Captain Kid from OP01. This card is just a beast, especially with this deck where you're able to restand Don at every single turn with your leader ability. That gives you the ability of using a lot of counter events and guaranteeing you'll have the Don up for them. guaranteeing you'll have the Don up for them. And then of course we do run a lot of different blockers, and then the 3-cost TCG, which is really helpful to keep this card alive. Most of the time our game plan is going to be revolving around getting this card out and then just protecting the heck out of it. For those that don't know, if you give him 1 Don and then rest him, your opponent is forced to swing into him. They can't swing into any other characters or your leader, and then he has the ability to cheat out 3-cost characters, which we're really going to use to cheat out blockers. 3 of the 10-cost Doflamingo, being able to play this and then restand 2 Don with your leader is crazy. If you have an 8-cost Useless Captain Kid on the board, then you play this, you're going to be in a great spot. You have to be very careful how you time it though. You'll see in one of the games I did misplay a Dofi and the timing just wasn't right, and I don't want to spoil how the game goes, but yeah, not my best play in the world. But 3 seems like a good number for me. It's searchable, which we really like, and yeah, can't go wrong with Doflamingo. 2 baby 5s, just a 2k counter really. It's searchable off of our other baby 5 searcher, which is really important. That's kind of like the main reason it's in it, is because we get to search for it, and it's a 2k if we really need it. We really want to find our 2ks so we can protect our Eustace Captain Kid when we eventually get it out. 4 2-cost Rosinante blockers from OP10. This card is the perfect card to pair with our 8-cost Eustace Captain Kid. It is also a very nice way to keep our 5-cost Smoker alive as well. Even if it's rested, if your opponent KOs one of your characters that are rested, you can use it to save it, which is great. I think 4 is the move here. It's searchable. What's not to love about the 2-cost Rosinante? 4 baby 5 searchers. We're running dual searchers in this deck, looking for cards early in the game, especially our top end. This allows us to find our 10-cost Dofis. It also allows us to find a lot of blockers, all of those Rosinantes. Those aren't the only Rosinantes we have. We have 3 more from OP09. And then your opponent, of course, is going to have to swing into it if they want to prevent us from getting more value from it, or maybe they can just bounce it. But still, if they swing into it, that's great. It's a pseudo blocker. 2 Hody Jones. Hody Jones is just such a great finisher card. It really is the perfect Hail Mary where if you don't win this turn, you're going to lose the game. And combining that with your leader ability, he's really only 5 Don, which is amazing. Resting 2 blockers or Don, then going for game. I think 2 is a great number. If you told me you ran 3 though, I wouldn't call you crazy. I think you have to run it just because it'll save you a game or 2. You'll see in the gameplay section, I don't want to spoil it, but just a great card in green decks. There's a reason it's so popular. 3 of the OP09 Don Quixote Rosinante. This one is 3 cost 4,000 power with 1,000 counter. It's got the blocker attribute, and then it also has this interesting ability that when your opponent attacks, you get to stand him up as active. What this really means is that you can use him as a viable attacker, because when your opponent swings on the next turn, you can restand him as active. I think for the most part, the 2-cost Rosinante is better, but of course, we're just running this at 3. I think it is a nice addition to keep our 8-cost Useless Captain Kid alive. In the moment you've all been waiting for, the new OP10 Smoker card, 5 cost, 7,000 power, really 8,000 power when it's your opponent's turn because of our leader ability. He's got the Banish effect, which is a really fun effect. I don't think enough cards take advantage of this effect in the game just because it really makes things awkward for your opponent having to choose between giving you cards out of hand or just trashing their life. Depending on the deck, trashing that life can be really brutal. Then he's got Activate Main. You get to restand one of your rested Don as active, and then he's got the caveat that you cannot use an ability like this for the rest of the turn with any other characters. Combined with your leader ability, you're able to restand 3 Don if this character is on the field, which means at 5 Don, you can play him out, and then you can play the 3-cost Tashigi that we'll talk about next. The 3-cost Tashigi can hypothetically help keep that Smoker alive until the next turn. 8 Don worth of characters for 5 Don is a great deal. This is one of the best cards in the deck, and one of the most fun new cards from OP10. Then we've got the 3-cost Tashigi. Yes, Tashigi with Smoker artwork. Read the anime, read the manga, watch the anime. You'll understand why. 3 cost 4,000 power. But what we really like about her is she has the effect. If one of your green characters would be removed from the field due to one of your opponent's effects, you may instead rest her, which is crazy. Gum Gum Red Rock, which is one of the perfect cards to get rid of Eustace Captain Kid, is no longer a viable option just because you can use Tashigi to rest it herself instead. Of course, there are ways to play around her. Your opponent can clear her before they go after your bigger bodies that you're trying to keep alive, and she is only a 3 cost, so that is not too difficult. But at the end of the day, how can you hate a 2k counter that also has great utility like that? Both her and Smoker are searchable off the Virgo Searcher, and that's what we're going to be looking for most of the time if we do not have one already. Next, we're running 2 of the OP01 Gum Gum Red Hawk. This deck This card made a comeback in Shanks in OP09. A lot of people have been playing it, and it is really good in Shanks. I don't think it's necessarily as good in this deck, but I still think it's a very good card, especially late game. Keeping one of your big bodies alive, like Eustace Captain Kidd, and then being able to KO one of your opponent's characters with 4,000 or less. That's a great way to get rid of a chump blocker during your opponent's turn. While it is a great card, I also think that the 2-cost event I'm going to talk about next might be a little bit better in this deck, probably a little bit better in this deck, and so that's why I'm running this at 2 and the other one at 4. Next we have this 2-cost event. I believe the English title is 10-layer Igloo, something like that. 2 cost, you get to choose up to one of your leader or characters and give them plus 3,000 power. Then you give minus 2,000 to one of your opponent's characters. This is an amazing way to kind of get out of 2 attacks. So for example, your opponent swings into your Eustace Captain Kidd for 9,000 or 10,000. You use this card to power up your Eustace Captain Kidd, and then you minus another one of their characters so that it makes it more difficult to swing that character into the Eustace Captain Kidd again. It's going to require more Don. It makes things more awkward. How can you hate that? It's the perfect card in that situation. I really like it. 4 might be a lot. Like maybe we bump this down to 3 just because some more counter in the deck wouldn't be bad, or just some more cards that we can find utility with. But right now I think you gotta at least run this at 2 or 3 just because it's so strong with your leader ability of restanding Don. Last but not least, we have the 0-cost 3,000 power counter event. Whoever wins this war becomes justice. This is your typical 0-cost 3,000 counter event. What do you want me to say about it? Right now, the Don Quixote do Flamingo package is what I've been testing the most. I think it's really strong, and I think it's got a lot of potential. Don't get me wrong, I don't think this deck is solved yet, so there's going to be more deck lists on the way for it, just because I think there's a lot of interesting directions you can take it. I would love to hear your thoughts on this leader and this deck list in the comments down below. Let me know if you're running with the Doflamingo build too, or if you've got a different package that you're really enjoying. I think a Straw Hat package might be interesting. There's a lot of cards that are both Straw Hat and Punk Hazard, and so you can take advantage of that. Before we get into the gameplay, of course, we've got a giveaway for you today. Today we're going to be giving away a custom smoker leader using art from the One Piece Treasure Cruise game. I am not the artist. I am not selling this. This is just a fun personal project of mine. All you have to do to enter this giveaway is 1, leave a like, and 2, leave a comment. It's as simple as that, ladies and gentlemen. If this video gets 20 likes in the first 24 hours, I will choose a random US-based commenter, send it to you for completely free. That's all you have to do. 1, leave a like, and 2, leave a comment, and you can have the most aura at your locals. Imagine pulling up to locals and you've got the custom smoker leader. It's a guarantee that you go undefeated at locals with it. If you want to see more videos, if you want to encourage me to make more content, consider hitting the subscribe button down below. It really helps the channel's growth. It really means a lot to me, and you'll stay up to date with all my videos. So you'll want to stay up to date with all the custom leaders I'm giving away so you never miss one. I bet you're tired of me yapping though. Editor, roll the gameplay. Our first game of the day is going to be against an OP10 green-yellow Trafalgar Law. That deck seems really interesting. I definitely have to give it a try. For those that don't know, Law's ability allows them to cheat out bodies from the top of their life. Pretty good if you ask me. We're going to start off with a 1-cost baby 5 searcher, drawing another baby 5, and then pass it back to them. They'll be at 3 Don this turn. They do have their own Jewelry Bonnie 1-cost searcher that they can search with. First, they're going to search with the More Pizza event, which is a 1-cost green supernova searcher. They are going to find the Trafalgar Law. That's the super rare from OP10. Then they'll search with their Jewelry Bonnie searcher and draw an OP07 Jewelry Bonnie. That's the one that freezes a character or Don. Then 6,000 at our baby 5, and of course we're going to let the baby 5 go, passing it back to me with 4 Don to work with. We do top deck the 8-cost Eustace Captain Kidd, which I think is going to be really good in this matchup. I think for the most part, green-yellow Law likes to stay low to the ground, and so this 8-cost big body can be annoying for them to deal with. We are going to start our turn by clearing their Jewelry Bonnie searcher, and then just play down the 4-cost Tony Chopper blocker for 4 Don. Hopefully we'll find a OP10 smoker to play next turn. That card is so good in this deck. They're going to play down the 5-cost Cavendish, get to restand 2 Don, and then swing 7,000 at us, which we will take. We do draw into the smoker, and we also got it from our life, so that's great news for us. We're going to start by playing Smoker down. We're going to be able to use Smoker's ability to restand Don. Then we can use our leader ability to restand 2 more Don. That's crazy, ladies and gentlemen. Now we've got 4 Don to work with. Swing 5,000 into their leader with our leader. They will give us a 1k counter. We're going to go with the baby 5 play and do another search. We are going to take the Virgo. Not an ideal target, but it's the only thing we can take. It's better than nothing. We're going to leave 2 Don up for one of our events. I think playing down the 1-cost Virgo searcher probably would have been a good use of our Don there. I don't think I'm going to use our events here, but it is what it is. They're going to go with the 7 cost Trafalgar Law from OP10. That secret rare is really nice. They're going to swing 6,000 at us, and I'm thinking we counter out of this using the event perhaps, and then we also get to minus the power of the Cavendish, which would be huge for us. So that's what I'm leaning towards at least. And the great thing about this event is that we're going to be able to power down the power of Cavendish, and they won't even be able to swing into my baby 5 with Cavendish because I do have that powered up Tony chopper blocker that looks like Sanji, and so that was a great play for us. Now it's time for our favorite combo in this deck, the combo that's going to win you games, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to play down the 8 cost Eustace Captain Kidd. We can use our character Smoker and our leader Smoker's ability to get 3 Don back as active, which we can put 1 on the 8 cost Kidd to activate his ability. We're going to first swing with 7,000 banish with our Smoker character, making them deal with that first before we do anything else besides play out that 8 cost Kidd. They'll take that hit, and we will swing 5,000 with our leader now. We're going to leave 2 Don up for a event. It looks like they get the Roronoa Zoro trigger, so they're going to be able to trash a 7 cost Law from their hand and then play him out. I'm not really too worried about that though. They're going to have to get past my 8 cost Eustace Captain Kidd, which is an absolute brick wall. We've got a decent amount of counter events in hand. We've got a blocker on the field. We've got 2 blockers on the field, one of them being the notorious 2 cost Rosinante blocker, which is a great card. And next turn, if everything goes according to plan, we'll be able to play out the 10 cost Doflamingo. Playing a 10 cost Dofi and then restanding Rested Don with our Smokers is going to go absolutely crazy. Being able to use a counter event and also have the Eustace Captain Kidd on the board is just broken. For 7 Don, they've got another secret rare, Trafalgar Law, being able to put a card at the top of their life and give a Don to their leader. They might use leader ability here, we'll see. They give 2 Don to their Cavendish, and then unexpectedly they will concede here. I was a little confused by this. I guess I was very confused by this. Maybe they didn't mean to give 2 Don to Cavendish. Maybe they meant to give it to the 7-drop Trafalgar Law. Either way, I think we were in a really good spot. Even though we didn't get to finish the game, this deck is an absolute beast. Now on to the next game against Blue-Black Usab from OP10. We are going to mulligan this first hand, and this next hand is... I don't know how to feel about this next hand. We do have 2 early game Searchers, which is great. We do have our 5 cost Smoker, which we love. Off the Virgo Search, we can take the... I believe that's Sanji. It is really hard to not get confused at some of these Straw Hat cards because the art does not match the character. And then we're going to do another Virgo search and get the Tashigi, which will be nice to pair with our 5 cost Smoker. We're going to take this first 5,000 power swing, and then they're going to throw down the 3 cost Bartolomeo blocker. It seems like a lot of Blue Usab's strategy is to hide behind these chump blockers, which is really annoying for us. We're going to do 5,000 right away with our leader. They're going to block that with Bartolomeo, and then they get to draw a card with their leader ability. Then for 4 Don, we'll play out the Tony chopper that looks like Sanji. Unfortunately, they get to pop it right away with their 4 cost OP10 Roronoa Zoro. That felt very bad. I kind of knew that was going to happen, but what did he want me to do there? You know, that seemed like the best play. Maybe I should have just threw Don on Virgo and swung big with him. For 5 Don, we're going to play down the 5 cost Smoker from OP10. We get to set 3 Don as active between the Smoker card and our Smoker leader. Then with our remaining Don, we are going to do a Virgo search for 1. I'm going to take the 2 cost event off the Virgo search, but in hindsight, I think I should have taken another 3 cost Tashigi. Not only is it a 2k worst case scenario, but I'll have it in case I need it for my 8 cost Eustace Captain Kidd play next turn. I don't really think you can have too many Tashigis, so I regret that a little bit, but it is what it is. They're going to play down the Rebecca combo here and also get to play out a Kyros and a Cavendish. They try to bounce my Smoker with their Kyros, but we get to use Tashigi's ability, so we rest Tashigi. Then they're going to swing 5,000 into the Tashigi, and we will counter out of that first swing. Now they're going to swing 6,000, and we will counter out of that too. Tashigi is going to be so important to keep our Smoker and our 8 cost Eustace Captain Kidd on the board. I'm not exactly sure what the strategy here is with Usab. Do I swing into life? Do I try to clear their board? They are able to establish a pretty big board, so I feel like I should just be going aggressive into life. We're going to do the Banish swing with Smoker, which they will counter out of. Then we're going to play down the 8 cost Eustace Captain Kidd, use our Smoker's abilities to restand Don, and now I'm thinking about how I want to proceed with the rest of this turn. I'm going to go 5,000 into their life. They take, which is good news for us. Then with Eustace Captain Kidd's ability, I'm able to cheat out a 3 cost Don Quixote Rosinante block. blocker, which is really important. We do also have that 2-cost event in our hand, which will be helpful to keep this Eustace Captain Kid alive. They do play the stage, and then also the 7-cost Monkey D. Luffy. They're gonna probably swing with it. I think they're debating on how to divvy up their one remaining Don in terms of pressuring this Eustace Captain Kid. We can use the 2-cost event here. We also could just give them a counter from hand. I'm thinking about potentially giving them the 2k instead of the 1k, just because the 1k could also be used as a blocker. I could also use this 2-cost event. Ladies and gentlemen, what should I do here? Let me know in the comments down below. I end up using the 2-cost event and minusing power from the Kyros. Now they're going to swing 6,000 with Cavendish. That's just to get his effective draw 2, trash 1. Then they will probably use Luffy's ability, and they will swing again with him, set him as active, and now we will counter out of this. We're going to counter out 1k with our Rosinante that's in the hand. Now we top deck the Sanji 3-cost, which is not really that good for us at the moment. I'm thinking here we just put a lot of pressure on their life. What I end up doing is throwing a bunch of Don on my Eustace Captain Kid and swing into their 7-cost Monkey D. Luffy. In hindsight, I think I disagree with that. I don't think that was the right play here. Now we're going to throw down the 4-cost Tony Chopper blocker, set some Don as active between our leader and our characters, and now we'll probably just swing big with our leader and then Smoker, or maybe we should swing with our character first. We're going to swing 8,000 into the Cavendish, trying to clear their board. I think this is a good lesson that maybe I should have just pressured life here. I definitely wanted to relieve some pressure off of our own life though and our own board, and so that's why I was going for board. But in hindsight, I think we swing at life and just really make them nervous. Now we're going to give 2 Don to our Rosinante blocker and swing 6,000 into their Cavendish again, which they will counter out of. Now I'm going to swing 7,000 with our Smoker, which they will take, and it is banished, so that goes straight to the trash. Now swinging with our Rosinante isn't a big deal because he gets to set himself active when our opponent attacks. 9,000 with Kyros, and we can 2k out of this or block out of it. I think I might block out of it just because between all the different events and ways to pop cards in my opponent's deck, I want to get some value out of my blockers before they probably bounce them one way or another. They're going to swing 8,000 with Cavendish. I am going to 2k out of this, but maybe I should have used my blocker again. They could just math me out of this really though. So now 8,000 with Zoro. I've got no cards in hand, so I have to block with my Tony Chopper blocker or just let the kid go. I think in hindsight, I should have blocked out of this. I'm not really sure what my reasoning was for just letting that go through. I guess my reasoning was that I want to keep the blocker up to protect my Smoker maybe, and then pressure their life this upcoming turn. I'm thinking that I can apply some good pressure this next turn. That's if they don't play a blocker or clear my board via other means. I think they're going to put on some Don and swing with their Usopp into my Smoker, and then that's why I just counter out of that with our Tony Chopper. Now they can't clear the Smoker just because they wouldn't have enough Don to swing with Rebecca, so that is great news for us. And here we're just going to go for it. We're going to play down the Hody Jones, the best card we could possibly top deck in this situation. We're going to be able to set up some Don as active between our Smoker character and leader, and now we are just going to go for it. We don't really have another option. We got to go big or go home. I'm thinking we swing 8,000 with our Banish Smoker character. That is going to go through. That basically tells me they don't have a lot of counter in hand. Now we can go 7,000 with our leader. The counter out of this is going to take both cards, and now we can just go 5,000 with Tashigi. Then they do have the gum red rock trigger, so good thing I swung in this order. Now 10,000 with Hody Jones, and that's going to be game. GG's. Hody Jones won me the game. What can you say? I try to run it back, but they're not interested. But GG's nonetheless. That was a tough one. Now we're going to go to OP10 Jewelry Bonnies. Hopefully it does not become a Eustace Captain Kid 8-cost mirror. There is definitely a chance this game becomes a grind. They've got 1 Don to work with. They'll play down the Jewelry Bonnie 1-cost searcher. They can't search with it yet. We'll play down our 1-cost Virgo searcher, and we do find our 5-cost Smoker. You love to see it. And now our 1-cost Baby 5 searcher. We'll just leave that standing and use her to search next turn. Probably we could also play the 4-cost Tony Chopper instead. They're going to be at 3 Don. They'll probably search with their Jewelry Bonnie searcher and then swing 6,000 at us, leaving a Don up for leader ability. Before they do that though, they do have another 1-cost Jewelry Bonnie searcher to play. They might do a double search this turn. Looking for their best cards in their deck, or not even search at all. They'll just play down the 2-cost Rosinante blocker and swing 5,000 at us. That is a little bit surprising to me, going down so far in hand size, but I guess there's no way for me to really remove their searchers, so Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Now we are going to do a baby 5 search. I think that's the move here, and then go with the 3 cost Sanji play. Sanji that looks like Nami. I'm also considering leaving 2 Dana for our Gum Gum Red Hawk. That would be really helpful to clear some of their smaller bodies, which they have plenty. Off the baby 5 search, we have to choose between taking a Rosinante blocker or the 2 cost Doflamingo Punk Hazard event. I go with the Doflamingo blocker just because I think that'll pair nicely with our 8 cost Eustace Captain Kidd. Now with our 3 remaining Don, I'll just give 1 Don to our leader and swing 6,000 at their life. They'll probably take this, get some card in hand, and then we'll leave 2 Don up for our Gum Gum Red Hawk. Not sure exactly who I want to kill with it. We could do the Jewelry Bonnie, we could do a Rosinante blocker. Either way, we can't go wrong, really. They'll start off with a 5,000 power swing from their leader into our baby 5, and now if I do use the Gum Gum Red Hawk, I'll have to give them more counter just to keep that baby 5 alive, and so I don't think it's worth it. I kind of waste this extra Don that I left up because I don't think they'll swing again at me this turn. So kind of an L on my part, but not the biggest deal. For 3 Don, they will play down the 3 cost 4,000 power Bartolomeo from OP10. That is a blocker. Off their first Jewelry Bonnie search, they'll get a Cavendish from EB01. That is not great for us. Cavendish is so strong in Jewelry Bonnie. Then they are going to cycle their hand a little bit with the Bartolomeo's effect, trashing a Hody Jones. I wonder if they have another Hody Jones or if they just don't think they're going to need it in this matchup. Off their other Jewelry Bonnie search, they will get a Scratchman, a Pooh. That's a 2K from EB01. So overall, I think a pretty good turn for them. Now it's time for our 5 cost Smoker play. We're going to be able to set up to 3 Don active between him and our leader. Then we're going to swing 2,000 into one of the Jewelry Bonnies with our Virgo Searcher. They might free block with Bartolomeo, and yep, they will. Now we'll just swing 5,000 into one of their Jewelry Bonnie Searchers. With our remaining Don, we might put up the Tony Chopper blocker. I think that's not a bad idea. A 7,000 blocker on our turn is going to be annoying for them to try to get around. They are at 7 Don, so we could see, I mean, if they're feeling crazy, they could play a Hody Jones. I don't think that's necessarily their best play. We could also see a combination of maybe a Cavendish and something else. And that's exactly what happens. They're going to play down the Cavendish for 5 and then do a Jewelry Bonnie search for the OP07 Monkey D. Luffy. That's the one that protects characters. Then they're actually going to cycle it out, or maybe they just have another one with the Bartolomeo's effect. 3 Dons still to work with. We could see another 2 cost Rosinante blocker. That would be really annoying. That would be a nice defensive wall for them. Then they're going to give 2 Don to their leader and swing 7,000 at us. We do not hesitate at all. We will take that hit because in this turn we're going to set up our wall of 8 cost Eustace Captain Kidd. Unfortunately, we don't have the Tashigi to pair with it, which makes me a little bit nervous. If they play a Shanks, for example, they'll be able to get rid of the Eustace Captain Kidd no problem, which would be very bad news, but we'll see what happens. We're going to start off with a 7,000 power swing from our Smoker character into their life. It does have Banish, so they're going to want to block or counter out of this, or maybe they'll just let it hit and let it go straight to the trash. They will protect their life here, though, giving us a 1K and a 2K. That's fine to get cards out of hand. Now we'll swing 2,000 with our Virgo Searcher into the Jewelry Bonnie Searcher, just testing to see if they'll give us the Bartolomeo, and they will. That's a free block, but now we can swing freely into the Jewelry Bonnie. Of course, they still might use their 2 cost Rosinante blocker, but that is what it is. This is definitely the right sequence in my opinion. Now they're going to let it go. We'll play down the Eustace Captain Kidd. We can use some Smoker abilities to restand Don. We'll throw a Don on Eustace Captain Kidd, use his effect to play out the 3 cost Rosinante blocker, and then we're going to leave 2 Don up for our Gum Gum Red Hawk. This will be a great way to get rid of either their Rosinante blocker or maybe even their Bartolomeo blocker, depending on what we feel like. Hopefully they don't have the 9 cost Shanks because they don't have any way to save the Kidd, and they do have it. Ladies and gentlemen, you can't see me right now, but I just fell to my knees. This really screws things up for me. They'll swing 6,000 at our life with their Cavendish to restand 2 Don, and I'm thinking here we use the Gum Gum Red Hawk to pop their Rosinante blocker. I think that's the move here. We get to counter out of that attack. They have 2 Don left up. They might swing 6,000 with their leader, or maybe they don't, just in case they're afraid of the 10 cost Doflamingo play, which I think is a very valid concern of theirs. Though they will give 1 Don to their leader and swing 6,000. And this, I don't have any 2Ks, which feels really bad. That Sanji is a 1K, so I'm going to have to give him 2 1Ks. I don't think giving them nothing and taking that was a great idea, and I also don't think that blocking with our Rosinante would be a good idea either. We are going to start off with a 7,000 power swing from our smoker, making them block or counter. They are going to use their leader ability to rest our Sanji blocker, I believe, or Tony Chopper blocker that looks like Sanji. So now we only have one blocker left up. 7,000, it looks like they might counter out of this one. Yes, they have the 0 cost event. And we actually did top deck another 8 cost kid, so there is still hope. Unfortunately, we don't have any counter in our hand. We have a 1k Virgo, and honestly, I'm not sure if I should play out the Virgo. The Virgo could help me find the 2 cost event, which would be very helpful, and potentially help keep my useless Captain Kid alive, but at the same time, it is 1k of counter. We do find the event, which is huge. Now we can leave 2 down up and use that. Then I'm going to give 1 down to our leader and then just swing 6,000. I think I should swing into the Cavendish here, even though I don't know how much of a difference it makes. I would expect them to block if I do swing into the Cavendish. There's no way they're going to let me take this Cavendish. That would definitely be a misplay on their part if they do let me take it. Of course, they won't though, and they will counter out of that with the 2k. We'll rest our kid, so they have to swing into it and pass it back to them. They have 10 down to work with, 3 cards in hand. Honestly, we're in a decent spot. I wouldn't say amazing, but decent is fair. They've got that 9 cost Shanks. They're going to be able to swing 11,000 into my Eustace Captain Kid. I'm going to use the Rosinante blocker here, but let me know if you think I should have used the 2 cost event. I don't think that would have been a terrible idea either. For 10 down, they're going to play down the 10 cost Doflamingo, freeze my Tony Chopper, my Smoker character, and then my Eustace Captain Kid character. That was a really good turn for them. Now we are definitely in a little bit of an awkward spot, and here I think it's where the game is kind of sealed, not in my favor. We're gonna attack 5,000 with our leader into their leader. Whether they take this or not, we're still a little ways away from lethal, so they will take that. That's good news, but we've still got a long way to go. And here is a big misplay. I played on the 10 cost Doflamingo when I should have played the other 8 cost Eustace Captain Kid. I feel so silly for that. Just setting up 2 I think would have been a great idea. Instead, I played the Don Quixote Doflamingo and only freeze their Shanks. Ladies and gentlemen, what was I thinking? Maybe I'm being too hard on myself. It's not the worst idea in the world. I still do have this 2 cost event that can get me out of this attack from Doflamingo, which is great. And then I can lower the power of the Cavendish. So in that aspect of it, I am in a great spot. They're not able to attack with the Shanks, which is absolutely huge. I think I was being a little hard on myself, but at the same time, they've got 10 down to work with. They're going to play down a Carrot for 5, which is going to be really strong, able to freeze my Smoker character, which is annoying. Then they still got 5 down up. We could see them throw a bunch of down on their Cavendish and just swing into my 8 cost kid and then restand 2 down. I don't think that would be crazy of them. Or just throw all the Don on their Jewelry Bonnie. Either way, this is definitely a little bit of an awkward situation. If they can get rid of my 8 cost kid, it's just a matter of are they going to go for it or not. They're going to do a Cavendish swing for 4,000 just to restand that Don. They've got 7 Dons still to work with right now. They're just going to throw 6 on it. I was hoping they weren't going to do this. And then they're going to swing 11,000 into the Eustace Kid. Gotta let it go. That feels bad. Now a Dofi would go so hard this turn, but unfortunately we do not have one. Being able to freeze the Cavendish, Shanks, and 10 cost Dofi would be crazy. Oh my god, I wish I had that Dofi this turn. I guess this turn I'll play out another 8 cost kid, but I don't really have anything to defend it with. We're gonna start off with a 10,000 swing into their Cavendish. Which they'll use leader ability and they can rest my Sanji block, Tony Chopper blocker. Oh my god, if you took a drink every time I called Tony Chopper Sanji, you'd be blackout drunk right now. They do let the Cavendish go, which does surprise me a little bit, but I guess they'd rather keep the 10 cost Dofi alive and the 9 cost Shanks. Now we are going to play out our other Eustace Captain Kid, but it definitely feels bad. We're going to have to basically let it go unless they swing just 8,000 into it. And with those big bodies they have, they're easily going to be able to get rid of it. Now we're just going to put some pressure on life and then hopefully go for a Hody Jones play next turn if we can even survive until next turn. 5,000 with our Virgo. They will probably counter out of this if they have any counter, and they do. They have 1k with Cavendish and then 6,000 with our leader. They will take that one. We'll rest our kid and then we'll pass it back to them. Hopefully we can survive until next turn where we can drop a Hody and potentially go for game, but I do not have high hopes for us, ladies and gentlemen. We are in a bad spot here. They'll start with a 12,000 power swing into our kid from Shanks. Nothing we can do about that. We just gotta let it go. Instead of swinging, they're gonna play down a Cavendish. That only costs them 3 Don because they get to restand 2 Don. I wonder if they're just gonna go for my board or if they're gonna just go lethal here. Honestly, they could get lethal if they really wanted to, but of course, they don't know that just by what's in my hand. We've got a big board, so they might want to take care of that. And that's exactly what they're going to do. 4 down on Dofi, swinging into our Dofi. We are going to let that go for sure. A misclick here on their part, but I don't think it really matters. 7,000 into our 8,000 power Smoker. They're going to freeze it anyway, so that didn't really do much. They could have sent that into our life, and we would have had to take it. Now they'll go 5,000 into our life with their leader. We can give them the 1K here, but does it even make a difference? Maybe if we got a 10 cost Dofi, this would make a difference off the top deck, so we will use our counter and keep our life at 2. We do not get the Dofi, of course. We get the Hody Jones, and we are just going to go for game here, and we don't have actually the worst shot in the world. We've actually got a decent shot. We've got 4 potential swings. We've got a couple Don to throw around and split between my characters. We're going to start off with a 6,000 power swing from our Tony Chopper. Do they have the 2K for us? And they do, unfortunately, but we still have 3 more swings. Now, all of these need to connect. I'm debating on how much to give to each character. I almost do 6,000 with our leader first, but I realize I have to go 5,000 with Virgo first. Now, if their hand's bricked up, we're in luck. If not, this will be an easy counter for them. 5,000 at them. They do have the 1K, and that is going to be game. Nothing I can do about that. That is an absolute grind. I imagine it's going to be how a lot of Bonnie Smoker matchups go. Just a very grindy match. Your 9 cost Shanks, your 8 cost Kids, your 10 cost Dofis. All cards that really extend the length of the game. GG's though, on to the next one, and our next one is going to be against Black Purple Luffy from OP10. We are on the odd curve. We're going to start off with a Virgo Search, and we get a 5 cost Smoker. You love to see it. We also have a Baby 5 Searcher and another Virgo that we might play next turn to continue doing more searching. We find an 8 cost Kid, which we love. We see that they did actually use the 2 cost Event Searcher from EBO2. Ideally, the games today would only be OP10, but the sim does not distinguish between OP10 and EBO2, so some EBO2 cards might slip in there. So consider this game a bonus game where they get to use an EBO2 card. We're going to find a 10 cost Dofi and a 4 cost Tony Chopper blocker. They're going to play down the 3 cost Roronoa Zoro from OP09 that lets them ramp Don. 5,000 at our Baby 5 Searcher. Of course, we're going to let them have this. Then with the remaining 3 Don, they'll play out another OP09 Zoro, just establishing a 3 cost 5,000 power body, and then pass it back to me. 5 Don to work with. You know what time it is. It is 5 cost Smoker time. We're going to be able to set 3 Don back as active. And this actually might be kind of a mistake just because I know they drew the 5 cost Sanji previously. And so this Smoker is actually going to be able to get popped. We do get to draw the Tashigi or the 2 cost event off of the Virgo, but unfortunately we won't have enough Don to play out the Tashigi to pair with the Smoker. So I think in hindsight, maybe I shouldn't have played out that Smoker without playing out a Tashigi as well. We're going to give 2 Don to our leader, then swing 7,000 at them. This is another, I think in hindsight, maybe a misplay where maybe I should have left 2 Don up for the 2 cost event. It's late, ladies and gentlemen. I'm learning a new deck. Cut me some slack, please. Or maybe not. You can roast me in the comments down below. I will not cry any tears, or maybe I will, but I'll keep it private. 6,000 at us with their Zoro. We are going to 2K out of this. We're going to give him the Tashigi. Maybe we didn't need to do that. Maybe we should have given him the Tony Chopper blocker first. Doesn't matter though. We're going to use the Tony Chopper blocker there. And of course they did pop our Smoker, which feels bad, man. Now we're going to play down just the 3 cost Rosinante and then swing 7,000 into one of their Zoros that are rested. They probably have the counter to get out of this, and if I were them, I definitely would, and they do. They're going to be able to put a ton of pressure on us this turn, which definitely feels bad. They're going to be at 9 Don too. If they can establish a big body, things are about to get really awkward for us. 7,000 at us with Zoro. This might be the time to do the 2 cost event. We could lower the power of their other Zoro down too, which kills 2 birds with 1 stone. When we use it, we'll actually lower the power of their Sanji. Not that it makes up too much of a difference. Now they're just going to give their Sanji 3 down and swing 7,000 at us. We do find the 2-cost Rosinante, which will pair nicely with our 8-cost Eustace Captain Kid next turn, if that's what I decide to do. We take that hit from their other Zoro, and this one I will take 2, just looking for counter to go with an 8-cost Eustace Captain Kid. I'm really going to try to hide behind it this turn. It's really my only hope is to Eustace Captain Kid and then maybe 10-cost Dofi next turn, or just Hody Jones and sprint for life. Off the Eustace Captain Kid, I can play a 2-cost Rosinante, so 2 blockers up. I have the 2-cost Gum Gum Red Hawk. We have Don up for that, which could be helpful. They are going to play down the 5-cost Sanji again from starter deck 14 to pop our 2-cost Rosinante. Now a 10,000 power swing from their Sanji into my Kid, and we will just block with our other Rosinante blocker. Now we're in a really interesting position. 10-cost Dofi won't do much for us this turn because we're only going to be able to freeze one body. The Hody Jones, we're not in lethal range, so that's not going to help us. We do top deck the 5-cost Smoker, which does allow us to restand a Don, which is pretty good. It's not going to be super helpful this turn, but if we survive another turn, it will be very helpful to have on the board. We're going to give 1 Don to our 8-cost Kid, and I'm thinking we swing into the Sanji just to clear that and get rid of another potential attacker. Before I swing with the Kid, though, I think I should swing 6,000 with the Smoker just to force them to give me counter out of hand, which they won't, which is good news for us, because now we can swing 9,000 with Kid into their life, which they will take that as well. I've got 6 Don left to work with, but I don't really have any plays. I'm going to play down the Rosinante blocker for 2, and then I'm just going to leave all 4 up, I think. Doesn't really make much of a difference. I can't swing into anything. And yeah, now maybe they think I have 2 events, maybe they think I have 3 events. 8,000 at us. Our Eustace Captain Kid, we can easily 1k counter out of that. That's what we like to see. They're going to give 3 Don to their leader and swing 8,000 into the Kid. We will Rosinante blocker out of this one, and now if they want to get rid of the Kid, they'll have to throw Don on a Zoro. The question is, how much Don will they throw on? This is the perfect case scenario. We are going to use Red Hawk, get out of that hit, and now we are in a good spot for lethal or using our 10-cost Dofi. And I'm actually leaning towards the Dofi here, but before I can do anything, they just concede. I think it was a little early for that. I was gonna go for a 10-cost Dofi play, I think, which even if I pull that off successfully, if they top deck, for example, a 9-cost Secret Rare Rush Luffy, they'd be able to win that game if they were to swing with the Rush Luffy into my Kid, clear the Kid because I don't have any counter in my hand, and then just swing into my life with their standing Zoro, they'd win. So, yeah, I mean, GG's. I don't think they should have conceded. If I go with the Hody Jones there, I probably do win though, so yeah, we'll never know. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the games I got for you today. What did you think about them? This deck list has been a ton of fun. I need to do more practicing with it. Obviously, I'm not really good with it yet. Technically, OP10 isn't even out yet in the West, so we're just getting some early practice, early deck building. Let me know what you thought about the deck and if you have any constructive criticism down below. Let me know what other leaders you'd like to see on the channel. I'm always open to suggestions and I love hearing back from you. If you made it this far in the video, you are an absolute real one. Consider hitting that subscribe button if you haven't already to stay up to date with the videos, stay up to date with the giveaways. Who doesn't love a free giveaway? That's all I got for you though, ladies and gentlemen. I'm tired. This has been a Johnny TCG video. Peace. And don't forget to subscribe.